The Chinese regime claims to possess an AI that reads the minds of its members. Scientific advancement allows today's civilians to expand its scope of action. However, its deviant use goes against civil liberties, reducing them. An example of this is seen in the Chinese regime's application of artificial intelligence, AI, to subjugate the billions of citizens under its rule. The Chinese are not only the most watched people in the world, but they are also the least free since they entirely lack political and religious freedom of speech and consciousness, among others. Moreover, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, has made AI so sophisticated that it now obsessively probes the minds of its supporters to determine the degree of loyalty with which they serve it. To achieve this, it uses software that can read the minds of the small percentage of the population that is part of its supporters, 6.4%. Only about 90 million supporters follow the CCP in a population of over 1.4 billion. The information was presented by the National Comprehensive Science Center of Hefei City Prefecture, Anhui Province, China. The applied AI reads facial expressions and brainwaves and interprets a supporter's attention to thought, education, and policy emanating from the Chinese regime. Based on those results, the CCP determines individual ability to further solidify their confidence and determination to be grateful to the party, listen to the party, and follow the party, according to the Times. However, the article announcing the CCP's technological achievement disappeared from the Chinese internet shortly after its publication on July 1st. The cause would have been the backlash from the public, who feel that this invasion of AI into personal life was too much, even by their standards. Xi Jinping's insistence on loyalty. According to analysts, it's not just a coincidence that this software was unveiled a few months before the crucial 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, CPC, where a life-and-death battle for Xi Jinping will be unleashed. Little doubt remains about Xi's bid to retain absolute power in the giant country for 5 more years at this Congress after 10 years in power. During those 10 years, Xi has executed a ferocious purge campaign of opponents and eventual rivals camouflaged with anti-corruption laws. As a result, many officials were displaced from their prominent positions, and some were even imprisoned or executed. All indications are that AI is Xi's next resort to purge his immediate circle of leaders to the extreme, or at least intimidate them to maximize his chances of continuing in the top CCP post next fall. Loyalty or servility? Loyalty is one of the virtues valued by traditional Chinese culture and implies fairness, honesty, loyalty, courage, and responsibility. All of these are contained in the symbol Yi, which means that the person is capable of sacrificing in the name of justice. However, the communism imposed by the Chinese regime destroyed the transmission of these authentic values. It now tries to replace them with utilitarian instructions imposed on its members, which they reflect as flattery and servility. A few months ago, the regional leaders began an abundant sequence of displays of loyalty which resemble acts of submission, similar to those presented by medieval subjects to their formal feudal lords to continue counting on their favor. These are long articles of pledges of loyalty in which praise for Xi abounds. In them, the authors present Xi as a beacon, compass, and fulcrum. One example is the article written by the head of the CCP in Hunan Province, Lo Yongsheng, in which she expressed that the Chinese leader's political theory should be taken as a lifelong lesson by local officials. According to the South China Morning Post, he also called for point-by-point and effective implementation of Xi's instructions. Some leaders have even reverted to bestowing on Xi the title of Lingxiu, a reverential term meaning leader used in the Mao Zedong era. Previously, Xi demanded absolute loyalty from the military and state media. Likewise, to young and middle-aged officials at the party school of the CPC Central Committee, National Academy of Government. Exhaustive indoctrination. It should be noted that the CCP subjects all strata of the Chinese population to thorough indoctrination where the primary subject is Xi Jinping thought. To promote it, the propaganda department created in 2019 the application Study Xi, Strong Nation. In addition to imposing compulsory subjects in primary schools, high schools, and universities, the population is encouraged to earn social points by studying these doctrines. Also, it has required many officials, teachers, employees of state enterprises, and bureaucrats to immerse themselves in the Marxist theories that underpin the Chinese regime. To this end, articles, videos, and tests on the so-called communist heroes are disseminated. Even so, the Chinese regime launched an unprecedented, massive propaganda campaign 2 months ago. This includes a trailer of Xi's political achievements over the past 40 years and 50 episodes of short films to promote Xi. In addition, Xi is expected to receive the title of leader at the Autumn Congress, making him the most powerful and influential man in China since Mao Zedong. This title could be dangerous, according to Feng Chongyi of the University of Sydney, a China expert who fears that, like Mao Zedong in his time, it would plunge China into a situation similar to that of the Cultural Revolution and, in that case, the whole world would suffer. Xi's concern. Notwithstanding Xi's painstaking work to gather absolute power under his control, there is no total guarantee that he will continue to retain it after the 20th CCP National Congress. Deep within the CCP, a relentless power struggle is raging, threatening Xi's imperial aspirations. As recently as May 11th, in Guangxi province alone, Xi Thought pocketbooks were ordered to be removed and destroyed, and photos and reports on Xi Thought were deleted from the provincial government's official website. On the other hand, last week, Beijing publicly defied the State Council Health Commission while openly violating China's constitution by imposing additional restrictions on citizens who have not been vaccinated against COVID-19. Likewise, the constant protests and rebellions of the population in various parts of the country are evidence of a social environment driven to the extreme of desperation. Likewise, Prime Minister Li Keqiang and Vice President Wang Qishan are playing a role that generates uncertainty. The country's economic setbacks and the stalking of former leader and rival Jiang Zemin's supporters are all reasons that increase Xi Jinping's worries as he redoubles his efforts to remain in power. The most recent resource at his disposal is digging into the innermost mind of his closest political circle through AI. However, dark clouds are looming over his term in office.